Hey, what's up guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. I know it's been quite a long time since I've posted another video, and mostly because I've been busy doing other stuff like four-wheelers and stuff like that, messing around with them. My interest kind of shifted towards that way a little bit, and I know that this channel is kind of structured around this M3 and the blue M3 as well. So as far as the white M3, what it needs is another diff bolt because yes, I clutch kick a lot. And I actually have a diff brace that's going to go in it from Autowerke, so we should be installing that today and it should be good. And as far as the blue M3 goes, I actually have a video already ready for that, and I'm going to be putting the clutch in there in the next video and explaining basically the process of what and how to do it. So I'm going to go ahead right now and kind of switch up the cars a little bit, get this car on even ground because my driveway is kind of like tilted down. So I'm going to put it on a flat spot and we're going to start jacking it up and putting the diff brace in. So this car is actually so dead that it didn't want to start at first. I had to connect the jump starter pack to it. Yeah, and she's still dead. All right, I'll give her a couple minutes to kind of charge up. All right, it's been about 10 minutes, so attempt number 2. Oh no, she's misfiring. All right, so the diff brace is a 2-part system. Basically, this goes on the bottom and in front of the diff, so the diff is gonna be right here, and it's gonna be pointing to the top, and here we have the drive shaft. And this part right here screws into the diff as well, so that's what this is here for. And this part holds the diff bolt on the outside. As far as these 2 little slots right here, you send these 2 bolts right here through the bottom, so through this part, and then you have the subframe right here, and then this piece goes on top. So that's how it's going to be held together, like this, basically like that. It's going to hold the diff without bouncing, and basically should put down or allow you to put down more torque and more power without breaking the bolt again. Now for this, you're going to need a drill and a drill bit. I'm not exactly sure what size this is, but I found a bolt that screws into here that has the same thread pitch, and that'll fit at the same time through this slot. And if you take a look where the subframe is at, so there's going to be a bolt here, and this is just here for safety, but I can move it out of the way because I have jack stands. There's a bolt here and there's one on the other side, and you're gonna have to basically drill a hole through here to the top and pick up the diff. If you have a snap bolt like I do, my diff currently moves up and down, and that second part that I showed you, the thin slot, it's gonna go in between the diff and the subframe, so you're gonna bolt it up here, and that's basically all it is. So after a couple times of breaking my diff bolt, I got a little smarter and I started cutting slots inside the diff bolt right there, as you can see, for a screwdriver that can just take it out. Otherwise I'd have to remove the differential, take off the axles, you know, all that stuff, and I just wasn't feeling it anymore. So after that, I decided that I'm just gonna cut a slot in there. Perfect. Here we have the diff bolt. This junk broke, so there it is. Alright, so another aspect that I forgot to mention is I have an ECS tuning bushing for the front differential bolt, and you can see it's all beat up because I was hammering it in, and every single time the diff bolt breaks, it slides out, which is really weird, but whatever. Anyway, so what I wanted to say is this solid part right here, it's a bit too wide. The diameter is a bit too far out in order to fit into the A&A bracket. So what I'm going to be doing is kind of chopping it up right here, about maybe like a centimeter, couple millimeters, something like that, just so that it'll fit in. You'll have a better idea when I just show you. So the bracket has these little grooves right here on the outside right here, and this is too wide, so you can see it hits right into it. So what you got to do is you got to make this diameter smaller, chop it down so it fits inside. So after a couple of minutes of using the grinder, this is basically what you should have, and it should just fit in there nicely. Should sit nice and snug, and yeah, pretty much that's all you want. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start installing it on the car. All right, so another issue that you'll run into if you're using this bushing right here, after you put it in, you have to remember that this is an extended bushing, and on stock ones you shouldn't have this because the stock one ends right at the tip of this metal piece, and you're not gonna have this extra, like, I think 1/4 inch of space. And basically this brace is just gonna sit like that, flush with this part right here, and these bottom holes, they're gonna align with these holes right here in the subframe. But since I have an extra like 1/4 inch, I'm gonna need to drill a hole a little bit further out, so like right here probably, only because I have an extended bushing right here. All right, so after drilling, this is approximately what you should have, and it gives you just enough space. So now I'm gonna get to installing it. All right, and as far as the second bracket goes, you're gonna wanna make sure that this tilt right here goes towards the passenger side of the car. So where your passenger would sit, that's where you would put it. And I was pretty sure that it was supposed to go this way right here, you know, just so that the bushing wouldn't be in the way. But once you put it all the way through, you can see where the holes are at, and this side is peeking out by about another 1/4 inch, and so that wouldn't make sense because it would be hitting the bushing right here. So that's probably not the way, and I think it has to be flipped like this, because see, the holes match up right there, over there, and it lines up perfectly right there. So that's the way that it should be sitting. Remember this position right here. So this is upside down that I'm showing you. Slides right in, get it even as you can, right there, and you should see the holes line up. All right, so here I have my old bolt right here. I have the slit right there. It's a tiny little slit, but here's the new bolt. And I also put a little slit in there just in case. You know, you never know. Hopefully this brace works, but just in case, in the event that it doesn't, I have something else, like, just in case, you know. So anyway, let's go ahead and install this. All right, so before you install the brace, this is probably the final step. Make sure that this bolt is unbolted and it sits flush, if not a little bit further out, just so there's no extra contact on the diff. So next, you're gonna wanna try and catch the bracket that's already pre-installed, or, you know, right underneath the diff. So make sure that that's there. It's the first bolt. Grab the second bolt, put it in there as well. Make sure you catch that thread on that bracket. Put this in place. So then the next step is you're gonna grab your diff bolt, slide it through this hole over here, and kind of pick it up a little bit. You can pick the diff up, it's not gonna be too difficult, just to kind of get the thread going. Once you got a couple threads that you're certain aren't gonna strip the threads in the differential, you can go ahead and grab a socket or whatever, or an impact gun, and just kind of fly your way through. All right, so now that I tightened the bolt down, I'm gonna make sure that I thread these in properly and tighten them down as well. All right, I apologize for the poor angle, but there's really no way to get to it any better. So this bolt, you can see that it starts tightening down, and you have to tighten it down all the way to the diff right here, to the solid part. Tighten it down. And as soon as you tighten it down as much as you can, I'd probably grab a wrench or something, like an open-ended, tighten it down some more, and then this other nut, tighten it all the way down to the diff brace right here. And after that, you should complete your final step, and the car will be ready to roll. Just to make your guys' life easier, I went ahead and I unscrewed this bolt, and this is gonna be a size 17. And I took this key right here, and I kind of cut it in half. I actually use this for the turbo, because when you're turning the turbo bolts, it's really hard to get a really full-size key in there. So I cut it in half, and I used the other side, but I don't know where that went, so I'm just gonna use this for now. But both of these are size 17, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it back into place and start tightening it down. All right, so all of that is tightened down now. And I guess the only way that I'm gonna know if this thing works or not is if you guys see a video in the future. So in reality, I'm kind of skeptical about how this is gonna work, because I'm not fully understanding it, but from what I do understand is this whole thing right here, it eliminates that bushing from moving at all. So that bushing, what you would have the movement, this whole thing just kind of eliminates that, because it's solid all the way through here. And then you have these two bolts holding it to the subframe, and then the bolts at the top, it holds the diff from moving up. So that's my kind of understanding about it. So hopefully this works, because it really is going to suck if it doesn't. These things run like 350 bucks on the internet, I think brand new, but I obviously bought mine used. You can see it's kind of dinged up even though I painted it. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the car down because it's pretty late at night already, so I'm gonna get on to the next part of this thing. All right, so it is the next morning out right now, and it's pretty freaking cold outside. I chose the best day to do this, but I actually just test drove the car, and I'm not seeing a difference between where a bolt should be there or, you know, like when a bolt's just regularly just hanging in there. But I guess that's the good part about it, because you don't notice anything different. But other than that, I already thought of 2 other weak points that might happen on this thing. So the first weak point is actually the thing that holds the back of the diff, the 2 other bolts, like the cap on it, kind of, if you know what I'm talking about. I'll probably show it in the picture, but I can see that breaking in the future because I've seen multiple people snap their brace right there, or, you know, their diff mounting plate there. And another spot would be the bolts, but kind of stripping out of the threads. So probably just drill the hole again straight through the differential, and at that point I'd probably be able to shove a bolt straight through and put a nut at the end, tighten it down, and should be minty after that. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it on that note. Finally a positive thing for a change. But next video you guys should be seeing is the clutch replacement for the Blue M3, and that thing has been a project, to be honest. Honestly, just to say the least, because you fix one thing, something completely unrelated starts breaking, and it's just a whole mess of things. So be expecting that video soon, and it's probably going to be 2 parts because it takes a long time to do it. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Catch you guys next time. Peace out.